Okay, this one is wild. Have you ever described a dream so detailed that someone else insisted they experienced exactly the same thing? We're not talking about common dream themes like flying or being unprepared for work. I mean dreams with specific, identical sequences shared by complete strangers. Sleep researchers call this mutual dreaming. Most scientists remain skeptical, but some tech startups are investigating it. The main theory is that our brains might somehow connect during sleep, like sharing signals over an unknown network. If true, it would mean our private dreams could sometimes connect with others. It's both eerie and intriguing. Astronomers studying a star called KIC 8462852, or Tabby's star, were shocked by its behavior. Usually, a star becomes slightly dimmer when a planet moves in front of it. But this star's light suddenly drops by as much as 22% at random times. This suggests something very large and irregular is blocking its light. The pattern is so strange that some scientists even suggested an enormous artificial structure could be involved, though the main explanation now is a weird cloud of dust. Still, the star's shifting brightness does not fit fully with current models. The cause remains a puzzle that scientists are still working to solve. Forget simple bioluminescent plankton. Sailors for centuries have reported milky seas, vast glowing expanses of oceans so immense they're visible from space. Picture an eerie bluish-white radiance stretching over 3,800 square miles, like sailing through a glowing night. The cause? Billions of bioluminescent bacteria, Vibrio Harvey, light up in synchronized blooms, turning part of the ocean into a silent, glowing expanse. It's the Earth's deep-sea nightlight, glowing mysteriously in remote waters. In some remote valleys and forests, compasses and navigation equipment stop working properly. Instead of a small error, a compass needle may spin or move unpredictably. Locals call these areas places where the world forgets its north. Geologists have found that this is not simply because of iron in the ground. Instead, the local magnetic field can change sharply from spot to spot, likely due to complex underground rock formations. These formations twist Earth's magnetic field in unexpected ways, confusing devices that rely on magnetism to find direction. Walking through an ancient forest, you can literally step into a wall of cold air. One second you're warm, the next you're shivering. And it has nothing to do with shade or wind. These are microclimate ghosts. Centuries of layered canopy, decaying plant matter, and specific topography create invisible rivers and pools of cold air that drift slowly through the trees. It's the forest's own ancient, natural air conditioning system. This phenomenon is a brilliant reminder that ecosystems aren't static. They're fluid, dynamic sculptures of temperature and air, full of secrets you can feel but not see. Our planet is never silent. Sensitive seismometers detect a constant, low-frequency hum, a deep, sub-audible drone that persists even on the calmest days with zero seismic activity. Think of it as Earth's idle noise. While a big part of it is caused by ocean waves constantly pounding the seafloor. Imagine the entire ocean rocking the planet like a giant cradle. A significant portion remains unexplained. This hum even changes pitch slightly with the seasons. We are all living on a giant, resonating bell that's always softly ringing. It's the soundtrack of our living world. Rocks aren't as lifeless as they seem. Under immense tectonic pressure, geologists have found rocks can emit faint, rhythmic pulses of seismic energy. Not just random cracks, but repeating patterns, much like a slow heartbeat. Lab experiments can't fully replicate these pulses, which seem to need the full chaos of nature, temperature shifts, trickling groundwater, and the weight of the crust itself. Even the stillest landscapes are energetically alive in ways we're just starting to sense. Some sand dunes don't just sit there looking majestic, they perform. In places like the Mojave Desert, shifting sand can produce a loud, low boom, sometimes as deep and musical as a cello note, vibrating right through your chest. The sound comes from millions of sand grains sliding down the dune face in a synchronized wave. But here's the catch. It doesn't happen every time. The right humidity, grain size, and sand temperature have to align to turn the entire dune into a spontaneous, booming instrument. It's the desert deciding, on its own terms, to belt out a powerful bass note. Deep space sends us incredibly powerful, millisecond-long blasts of radio waves called fast radio bursts, FRBs. Most are one-off explosions, but a few, like the famous FRB 121102, repeat at irregular intervals. These signals have traveled billions of light years, yet they arrive at our telescopes crisp and shockingly loud. It's like a cosmic air horn going off in the void, and we have no idea who's pressing the button. The prime suspects are magnetars, incredibly dense, spinning zombie stars with magnetic fields so strong they could wipe a credit card from halfway to the moon. But the true source? Still a glorious mystery. Deep in certain caves, explorers report a faint, sourceless glow hanging in the air like a luminous fog. It's not reflected light, bioluminescent fungus, or known mineral fluorescence. The leading theory points to triboluminescence. This occurs when certain types of crystals, like quartz or calcite, are crushed or subjected to intense tectonic pressure. The stress creates tiny electrical discharges that excite the air, causing it to glow. So, that soft light might be the silent, visible result of the Earth's crust slowly grinding and settling around you, a natural nightlight powered by the planet's quiet, relentless chemistry. The Arctic tern flies from pole to pole. Monarch butterflies find the same specific trees their great-great-grandparents left. We know they use the sun, magnetic fields, and landmarks, but disrupt those cues, and many still find their way. This suggests a map sense we barely comprehend. They likely integrate multiple streams of data, scent traces on global winds, polarized light patterns, an innate celestial clock, and even subtle changes in atmospheric pressure. They're not just following a path, they're constantly triangulating their position on a biological map we can't even perceive. They were born with Google Maps preloaded. In 1997, hydrophones in the deep Pacific picked up a sound dubbed the Bloop. It was an ultra-low frequency noise, louder than a blue whale's call, heard over 3,000 miles away. For years, its organic, almost monstrous quality terrified scientists and sparked wild speculation. NOAA eventually attributed it to a massive ice quake, a giant iceberg cracking and shearing off Antarctica. The case was closed, but the lesson remains. The ocean abyss is a pressure cooker of strange sounds we've barely begun to catalog. Who knows what other roars, moans, and songs are down there, waiting to be heard. The precision of ancient megaliths is mind-bending. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned to true north with an error of just 3/60,000ths of a degree. Stonehenge's stones frame the solstice sunrise with laser-like accuracy. How? It wasn't aliens, it was generational patience and profound observation. They used simple tools like shadow sticks, sighting poles, and the horizon itself as a giant protractor. By tracking the sun's farthest north and south points over the years, they could pinpoint celestial events with stunning accuracy. This proves ancient ingenuity, powered by careful observation and time, was itself a force of nature. Our sun is a roaring, chaotic ball of nuclear fusion, but buried in the radio static it emits are strange, narrow-band whistles. These aren't random noise. They sound almost tuned, like someone briefly tuning a cosmic radio between stations. They're linked to magnetic loops arcing through the solar corona, but the precise mechanism that creates such clear, tonal sounds in that plasma storm is a puzzle. It's as if the superheated gas itself is resonating like a colossal tuning fork, playing a faint, singular note we can just barely detect from 93 million miles away. Pilots and astronauts sometimes report bright flashes high above thunderclouds. These aren't normal lightning, they're transient luminous events with fantastic names. Red sprites, jellyfish-shaped flashes, blue jets, cone-shaped plumes, and elves, expanding rings. They occur when powerful lightning from a storm below punches electrical energy upward into the ionosphere. This proves our atmosphere isn't just empty air, it's a dynamic electric canvas where energy dances in forms we're only just beginning to see and understand. It's a whole new layer of atmospheric fireworks. In deep mines and boreholes, sensors sometimes detect a rhythmic, ticking pulse that continues for days, completely unconnected to earthquakes or human activity. It's an underground metronome. The source could be the slow, periodic movement of magma pressing against rock, or the shifting of vast volumes of deep groundwater through subterranean chambers. This ticking is the sound of the planet's hidden plumbing system, the pulse of pressure and release in the dark, deep places we never see. It's a reminder that Earth has a heartbeat far below our feet. Some glaciers don't just crack and groan, they sing. As meltwater carves channels and wind whistles through tunnels within the ice, it can produce eerie, haunting tones. These aren't random noises, they're pure, harmonic frequencies that actually change with the temperature and the glacier's structure. Scientists can even use these shifting songs to monitor the glacier's internal health and melt rates. So a glacier isn't just a silent block of ice, it's a massive, evolving wind instrument playing a slow, mournful song about its own transformation. On remote islands, people have reported the entire night sky flashing a brilliant white, with no storm, no thunder, just a massive, silent pulse of light. This is likely a rare phenomenon called a leaping flash, or a super-powerful atmospheric discharge between the sea surface and the air above. For one split second, the boundary between ocean and sky becomes a giant natural battery, discharging all at once. One moment, it's deep night. The next, it's bright as day. Then, instantly, dark again. It's nature's most startling light switch. Most clouds are constantly changing, but lenticular clouds seem frozen in time. Forming over mountain ranges, they look like perfect stacked flying saucers or giant pancakes. They're so perfectly sculpted and stationary that they're constantly mistaken for UFOs. The secret is a standing wave of air. As wind flows over the mountain, it creates a stable wave pattern on the downwind side. Moisture condenses at the crest of the wave, forming the cloud, and evaporates on the downslope, creating the illusion of a static, sculpted object. It's wind and gravity in perfect artistic balance. At certain powerful waterfalls, witnesses have seen glowing orbs of light floating in the mist. These orbs glide and dart independently of the water flow. The phenomenon is likely electroluminescence. The violent churning and atomization of water droplets create a strong electrical charge in the mist. When these charged droplets recombine or interact, they can release tiny bursts of light. Essentially, the waterfall's raw kinetic energy is materializing into silent, ethereal fireflies, a beautiful byproduct of water's immense power. Before an eruption, volcanoes don't just rumble, they hum. This harmonic tremor is a sustained, rhythmic shaking caused by magma forcing its way through narrow conduits and fractures in the rock. Think of it as the sound of the volcano's plumbing under immense pressure. Sometimes this tremor takes on distinct, shifting musical tones as different parts of the system resonate. It's an ominous, real-time concert for seismologists, telling them that the mountain is pressurizing and that something much bigger might be coming soon. On rare nights, you might see faint, rippling waves of red or green light across the sky as glowing ocean swells in the atmosphere. This is air glow. It's caused by gravity waves, not to be confused with gravitational waves. Ripples in the atmosphere from weather events or topography far below, crashing into the thin air of the upper atmosphere, around 60 to 70 miles up. There, they disturb oxygen and other molecules, making them glow. It's a visual echo of a thunderstorm or mountain wind, painted in light 100 kilometers overhead. Slice open an iron-nickel meteorite, and you might see stunning geometric patterns called Widmanstätten patterns. These interlocking bands of kamacite and taenite metals are impossible to forge on Earth. They only form in the core of an asteroid over millions to billions of years, cooling at an unbelievably slow rate of about 1 degree Celsius every million years. The pattern you see is a direct crystal growth map of that cosmic cooling history. Holding one is literally holding a snapshot of deep time and a cooling process we can never replicate. In isolated spots around the globe, Earth's magnetic field can suddenly spike for a few seconds. These aren't caused by solar storms, they originate from the planet itself. Scientists believe they're likely magnetic pulsations caused by sudden stress shifts deep in the crust, perhaps from the release of built-up tectonic pressure or the movement of conductive fluids in the mantle. It's like the planet is having a brief, localized magnetic hiccup, a fleeting reminder that the field protecting us is dynamic and alive with small, mysterious events. Animals often know disaster is coming before we do. Dogs whine, birds fall silent or flee, and cats hide hours before an earthquake hits. They're likely sensing subtle precursors we miss, the initial, faster P waves of a quake, which humans rarely feel, changes in groundwater chemistry, or shifts in the local electric field caused by crushing rocks. Their sensory world is broader and more attuned to these environmental whispers. So, if every animal in your neighborhood suddenly acts weird, it might be time to glance at a seismic chart, their nature's built-in early alert system. Sonar has revealed perfect circles, spirals, and geometric ridges etched into the deep seabed. While some, like the stunning pufferfish nests, are animal-made, others are found at depths or scales that defy known biology. The mathematical precision is astonishing, with symmetrical patterns that look intelligently designed. The truth is likely a mix of unknown animal behavior, unique current patterns, and perhaps bacterial or chemical interactions. These mysterious artworks form a hidden gallery on the ocean's darkest floor, seen only by robotic submersibles. One of the most terrifying and real atmospheric mysteries. Glowing spheres, often grapefruit-sized, that drift through homes, planes, and during thunderstorms. Ball lightning can hover, glide against the wind, pass through walls, and vanish with a pop or a bang. The leading scientific theory suggests it could be a cloud of vaporized silicon from lightning striking soil that burns slowly in the air. But its seemingly intelligent movement and longevity, lasting seconds to minutes, remain unexplained. It's a ghostly, energetic phenomenon that science is still struggling to cage in a lab. In dark forests, some bioluminescent mushrooms emit a soft green glow. But some species take it further. Their light actually pulses in sync with the lunar cycle, glowing brighter around the new moon when nights are darkest. Scientists theorize this is a biological clock tied to spore dispersal. The increased brightness during the darkest nights may better attract the nocturnal insects that help spread their spores. It's a living, glowing calendar written in fungal flesh, a direct, luminous link between life on the forest floor and the cycles of the sky. Imagine finding a perfect, unmelted patch of frost in the middle of a hot summer meadow. These frost hollows, or frost pockets, defy logic. They occur in specific depressions in the landscape that act like cold air sinks. On clear, calm nights, cold, dense air slides down slopes and pools in these bowls, creating a microclimate that can be 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit colder than the surrounding area. While the rest of the world bakes, these spots preserve a tiny, localized ice age, a geological refrigerator powered by airflow. Seneca guns, Barasol guns, or Misty guns. These are names for mysterious cannon-like booms or sonic booms heard on clear, calm days near coasts or large lakes. They rattle windows but leave no trace. Recent science points to a few plausible causes: methane gas exploding from lake or ocean sediments, distant thunder ducted through unusual atmospheric layers, or even shallow, small seismic events called cryptic earthquakes. It's the sound of the atmosphere or the shallow earth cracking its knuckles, a loud reminder that quiet days can still hold surprises. Most shooting stars are a quick streak, but rare bolides, or fireballs, can appear to stop, hover, or even flash multiple times mid-flight. This isn't alien tech, it's a dramatic optical illusion. When a large meteoroid enters at a shallow angle, it can explode in a series of fragmentation events. The main, dense core slows down dramatically as it sheds material, while the exploding debris creates bright flashes. From the ground, it looks like the meteor pauses or changes direction. It's the sky putting on a brief, confusing, and spectacular show. In blistering deserts, explorers have found small, persistent pools that defy evaporation even at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 49 degrees Celsius. The secret is often a thin, invisible monolayer of organic molecules, such as plant oils or bacterial biofilms, floating on the surface. This layer drastically reduces evaporation, acting like a natural chemical Tupperware lid. It's a tiny, ancient survival trick, allowing microorganisms and sometimes tiny crustaceans to survive in a miniature oasis, insulated from the hellish desert around it by a film just a few molecules thick. In places like the Great Smoky Mountains, thousands of synchronized fireflies, Photinus carolinus, flash in perfect, silent unison. The forest blinks on and off like a single, massive string of Christmas lights. This is biological entrainment. One firefly's flash cues its nearest neighbors, and the signal ripples through the swarm almost instantly in a wave of light. It's a form of communication with near-zero latency, likely used by males to attract females more effectively. It's a stunning, living example of how chaos can spontaneously create breathtaking, precise order. We know déjà vu as already seen, but déjà visité, as already visited, is the uncanny feeling of knowing the exact layout of a place you've never been. Neuroscientists believe it's likely a glitch in the brain's spatial mapping systems, the hippocampus and parahippocampal gyrus. Your brain might misfile a new, coherent spatial layout as an old memory, or a detail from a movie or book might integrate subconsciously. It's spooky, but it's a purely biological hiccup, your internal GPS short-circuiting and convincing you you've been there before. The stone walls at Sacsayhuaman in Peru are an engineering marvel. Enormous, multi-ton limestone blocks are fitted together with such precision that you can't slide a piece of paper between them, all without mortar or iron tools. The secret wasn't alien lasers. It was likely a combination of meticulous guess and check shaping, pounding stones together and grinding the contact points with sand, an intimate knowledge of the rock's fracture points, and generational patience. They created a permanent, earthquake-proof 3D jigsaw puzzle that has stood for over 600 years, humbling modern builders. Hikers in deserts or high mountains sometimes see the eerie spectacle of shadows sliding independently up rock faces, even with stationary clouds overhead. These are shadow bands. They're caused by atmospheric refraction. Heat rising from the sun-baked rock creates turbulent layers of air with different densities. This Schlieren effect bends light, making the sharp edge of a shadow appear to waver, ripple, and crawl. It's a surreal, real-time lesson in fluid dynamics, proving that light doesn't always travel in a straight line when air itself becomes a lens. Point a telescope and you might find patches of space that look like empty, starless holes. These are dark nebulae, like the famous Horsehead or the Coal Sack. They aren't voids, they are colossal, cold clouds of gas and dust so dense they block the light from the stars behind them. They're the universe's shadows, and ironically, they're often the birthplaces of new stars, as gravity causes parts of these dark clouds to collapse. They remind us that the cosmos is defined as much by what it hides as by what it reveals. Humpback whales are the pop stars of the ocean. A complex, evolving song will originate in one population, like off Australia, and then spread across the entire Pacific Ocean. Within a year or two, whales thousands of miles away are singing the same, new, slightly modified tune. All the males in a population sing the same song, but it gradually changes each season. When a particularly catchy new phrase or theme emerges, it gets copied. This proves a deep cultural transmission of information, a living, evolving underwater culture with hit singles that go viral across oceans. There are specific valleys, often rich in minerals like magnetite, where modern technology fails. Drones drop, GPS glitches, digital cameras malfunction, while old-school analog compasses spin uselessly. This is due to radio shadows from terrain blocking satellite signals, or to local electromagnetic anomalies caused by conductive mineral deposits that distort Earth's field. These spots are nature's own EMP zones, humbling reminders of how reliant our shiny tech is on clear signals and stable fields, and how easily the natural world can disrupt them. On rare, intensely active nights, the northern lights don't just drape, they form recognizable shapes. Dragons, birds, eagles, and even human-like faces. Part of this is pareidolia, our brain's hardwired tendency to find patterns in chaos, like seeing shapes in clouds. But there's a real physical basis too. The complex, twisting lines of Earth's magnetic field guide the solar particles, creating curtains, rays, and coronas that can, in moments of perfect chaos, align into stunning, transient silhouettes. The sky isn't just glowing, it's sculpting with solar wind. Some people experience a sudden, intense wave of heat in a limb or part of their body, with no fever or external cause. Thermal imaging confirms the skin temperature actually spikes. This is likely a misfiring nerve signal, perhaps related to the autonomic nervous system, causing sudden vasodilation, widening of blood vessels, in that area. It's your body's internal thermostat running a random, uncommanded test drill, flooding one area with warm blood for reasons that are still medically mysterious, but generally harmless. That clean, earthy smell right before a storm has a name: petrichor. It comes from a combination of oils released by plants during dry spells and a compound called geosmin, produced by soil bacteria called actinomycetes. When humidity rises before rain, these compounds are released from the soil and rocks into the air. So, that beautiful smell isn't just wet dirt. It's the scent of long-dormant microscopic life waking up and plants sighing in relief. A chemical forecast you can smell. In Death Valley's racetrack playa, heavy rocks mysteriously slide across the flat desert, leaving long trails in the mud. For decades, no one saw them move. The mystery was solved in 2014. On rare winter nights, the playa floods slightly and then freezes. The ice sheet breaks into large, thin panels. A light breeze, just 5 to 10 miles per hour, pushes these ice panels, nudging the rocks along and leaving trails in the soft mud below. It's a perfect, slow-motion geological magic trick, requiring a precise recipe of rain, freeze, and breeze. Gravity says rivers flow downstream, right? Tell that to the Mississippi River. During powerful hurricanes like Katrina, 2005, and Isaac, 2012, the storm surge from the Gulf of Mexico was so immense it physically pushed the river's flow backwards for miles, sending an estimated 182 million cubic feet of water upstream. It's a stunning demonstration of nature's overwhelming power, temporarily rewriting the fundamental rules of hydrology. It's a reminder that even the mightiest rivers are subject to the whims of larger atmospheric forces. Pilots sometimes spot stunning, pinwheel-shaped cloud formations in otherwise clear skies. These von Karman vortex streets are nature's fluid dynamics in action. When a steady wind hits a blunt, isolated obstacle, such as an island or a mountain peak, it sheds alternating, spinning vortices downwind. These swirling masses of air condense moisture into clouds, creating a marching line of perfect cartoon-like spirals. It's the atmosphere turning a simple obstacle into a beautiful, rotating artwork visible from space. In some caverns, with specific geometry, you shout, and the echo comes back, transformed. Your voice might return as a different musical note, a chord, or with certain frequencies amplified or erased. This is natural acoustic filtering. The cave's shape, size, and surface materials create standing waves that reinforce some sound wavelengths and cancel others. You provide the raw noise, and the cave's architecture acts as a giant organic synthesizer or auto-tune machine, composing a new sound from your shout. Some seeds, like those of certain lupins or lotus plants, can lie dormant in soil for decades, even centuries, as part of a seed bank. They're waiting for a very specific environmental password to germinate. This could be a sequence of fire, which cracks their hard shell, followed by a specific pattern of rain and temperature. They are biological time capsules, embodying extreme patience as a survival strategy. They ensure the species survives through bad times, only resurrecting when conditions are perfect for success. The deep ocean has a slow, rhythmic pulse detected by sensitive pressure sensors. Every few minutes, a low-frequency wave passes by. This is the signature of internal tides, massive waves that occur within the ocean, at the boundaries between layers of water of different densities. These waves can be hundreds of feet tall, but are so gradual you'd never feel them on a ship. They transport enormous amounts of energy and nutrients across ocean basins. It's the planet's largest body of water, breathing slowly, with a heartbeat measured in minutes. Not all lightning connects clouds to the ground. Upward initiated, or triggered, lightning starts from tall, grounded objects like skyscrapers, wind turbines, or even mountains. The tall structure enhances the local electric field during a storm, and a leader stroke erupts from the tip, shooting upwards to connect with a downward leader from the cloud. It creates breathtaking, branching plasma trees that grow toward the sky. It's a dramatic dialogue between human-made structures and the storm's electric heart. In the Arctic, some lakes freeze with stunning, perfect, honeycomb patterns of ice ridges, forming hexagons several feet across. This is a classic example of nature favoring efficiency. As the ice layer cools and contracts, it develops stress cracks. The most efficient way to release that tension across a flat plane is with a pattern of cracks that intersect at 120-degree angles, which naturally create hexagons. Think of a drying mudflat or basalt columns. It's physics manifesting as pure, beautiful geometry on a vast, frozen canvas. For centuries, people near the Arctic have reported hearing hissing, swishing, or clapping sounds accompanying intense auroral displays. Science long dismissed it as folklore or auditory pareidolia, the brain inventing sound for a visual event. However, recent research suggests that during strong auroras, electric potential differences can build up near the ground, leading to tiny electrical discharges in objects, such as hair or glasses, or in the air itself, creating faint crackles. So, the sky's greatest light show might, on rare occasions, come with a very quiet, crackly soundtrack. After a heavy rain in old forests, the ground can sometimes glow with an eerie green light. This is foxfire, caused by bioluminescent fungi, like Armillaria mellia, feeding on rotting wood. The chemical reaction between luciferin and the enzyme luciferase, which produces light, is enhanced by moisture. For one night, the damp forest floor becomes a mirror of the starry sky above, with decaying logs transformed into ghostly lanterns, a beautiful, natural recycling signal powered by decay itself. Travelers at high altitudes often report a weird sensation. Time seems to warp, with minutes feeling like hours. This isn't relativity, it's your brain on low oxygen, hypoxia. The hippocampus, a key brain region for processing time and memory, is particularly sensitive to oxygen deprivation. Even mild hypoxia can disrupt its function, distorting your perception of time's passage. It's a direct, disorienting example of how geography and physiology can literally bend your subjective reality without any magic involved. On exceptionally cold, clear, and calm nights, the air near the ground can fill with millions of tiny, plate-like ice crystals called diamond dust. They are so small that they remain suspended, reflecting city lights, moonlight, or sunrise like a cloud of glitter or sparkling diamonds floating at street level. It's not a cloud in the traditional sense, but frozen water vapor creating a ground-level aurora borealis, turning an ordinary night into a scene from a frozen fairy tale. Most storms are pushed by prevailing winds, but some powerful thunderstorms make sharp, seemingly intelligent turns. This happens when the storm's own cold downdraft, the rain-cooled air hitting the ground, spreads out and acts like a mini cold front. This outflow boundary can steer the storm's updraft in a new direction, sometimes even splitting it into two cells that go in different directions. It's a feedback loop where the storm creates its own steering mechanism, appearing to decide its own path. Climbers on freezing peaks sometimes stumble upon small vents or patches of ground emitting warm air, melting the snow around them into a cozy oasis. This is geothermal flux. Heat from deep within the Earth's crust travels upwards along fractures and faults in the rock, warming the surface in localized spots. It's the mountain's own central heating system, leaking to the surface, a literal breath of warmth from the planet's interior in the most frigid places. On very calm seas, you might see a perfect, temporary ring of white foam or bubbles. This isn't pollution, it's a natural vortex ring. A rising column of water, perhaps from a gentle upwelling or a descending object, can create a donut-shaped vortex. As it rises, it traps and concentrates buoyant foam or algae at its edges, forming a crisp, circular line on the surface. It's a fleeting, mandala-like drawing created by the ocean's hidden circular motions. Noctilucent clouds, NLCS, are the highest clouds on Earth, forming about 50 miles, 80 kilometers, up in the mesosphere, basically the edge of space. They're made of ice crystals forming on meteoroid smoke, tiny particles from disintegrating meteors. They're only visible in deep twilight, long after sunset, when the sun from below the horizon illuminates them from underneath, giving them an eerie, electric blue glow. They're a ghostly reminder that our atmosphere is far taller and more complex than it seems from the ground. During mass spawning events, coral reefs don't just release eggs and sperm, they communicate with light. Many coral species are bioluminescent. As the spawning begins, waves of light pulse across the reef. Scientists believe this is a synchronization signal, perhaps triggered by moonlight or neighbors' chemical cues, to ensure all corals release their gametes at the exact same moment, maximizing fertilization. For one night, the entire reef becomes a single, pulsating organism. Can your body sense the future? Controversial experiments, such as those by researcher Dean Radin, have shown that subjects' physiological responses, such as skin conductance, sometimes spike a few seconds before they are randomly shown a disturbing image. The conscious mind has no clue, but the autonomic nervous system seems to react. Is it a statistical fluke, a flaw in experimental design, or a hint at some form of unconscious precognition? The debate rages, making it one of the most tantalizing and disputed edges of consciousness research. Stand next to a powerful, rushing river like the Colorado through the Grand Canyon, and you might not just hear it, you might feel a deep vibration in your chest and feet. This is infrasound, frequencies below 20 Hz, generated by the massive volume of water vibrating the bedrock and the air itself. It's the river's true, sub-audible voice, a bass note so low you feel it as a physical presence more than a sound. It's nature's own subwoofer. Do plants have feelings? Not like us, but they are acutely aware of their sonic environment. Experiments, such as those on Arabidopsis plants, show that they respond to the specific sound frequencies of caterpillars munching on leaves. Upon hearing those vibrations, they flood their leaves with defensive chemicals. They might not appreciate your music, but they can definitely hear the threat of being eaten and mount a chemical defense. It's a silent, vibrational alarm system in the plant world. Spiral, or corkscrew lightning, is a rare horizontal bolt that appears twisted like a helix. It forms within the violently rotating updraft of a supercell thunderstorm, often near a tornado. The intense, swirling winds literally twist the plasma channel of the lightning bolt as it forms. It's a direct, terrifyingly beautiful visual signature of the chaotic, rotating engine at the heart of the most powerful storms on Earth. Lightning shaped by a tornado's breath. Gravity isn't perfectly uniform. In places like Hudson Bay, Canada, you actually weigh about 1/25th of a thousandth less than elsewhere. This gravity anomaly is largely due to post-glacial rebound. The massive weight of the Laurentide ice sheet, which melted 10,000 years ago, depressed the land. Now the land is slowly rising back up, but the mantle beneath it hasn't fully flowed back in, leaving a mass deficit. Less mass means slightly weaker gravity. The planet is a lumpy, imperfect sphere, and we can measure it. In the pitch-black deep sea, most creatures only see blue light. But the stoplight loosejaw, Malacosteus, has an evolutionary cheat code. It produces red bioluminescence from a gland under its eye. Since red light doesn't travel far in water and most deep-sea animals can't see it, this is like a private sniper scope. It can illuminate its prey without alerting them or nearby predators. It's the only fish known to use red bioluminescence this way, a secret weapon in the dark. Tectonic plates move inches per year, but some islands move feet per day. Floating, or rafting islands, are thick mats of vegetation, peat, and soil that break free from shorelines, often during floods. They can be acres in size, support trees, and even small animals. Carried by currents or wind, they slowly drift across lakes, rivers, or coastal waters, temporarily redrawing the map. They're nature's bobbers, ephemeral, wandering pieces of land. Will-o'-the-wisps in marshes and swamps have fueled ghost stories for centuries. Science explains them as burning methane, swamp gas, from decomposing organic matter, ignited by spontaneous combustion with phosphine. But reports of them moving against the wind or seeming to evade observers are likely due to the complex air currents created by your own movement. As you walk, you push air, which in turn moves the low-density gas flame, making it appear to retreat or follow. It's a ball of gas that perfectly mimics a curious, intelligent spirit. Gigantic jets are the colossal cousins of lightning. These massive electrical discharges shoot upward from the tops of thunderstorms, reaching altitudes of 50 to 55 miles, connecting directly to the ionosphere. They are a major, newly discovered pathway for transferring charge between our weather and near space. They look like colossal blue-red trees of plasma ascending into the blackness above the clouds. A colossal, silent elevator of electricity linking Earth to space. If you're on a mountain or open field and suddenly smell a sharp metallic scent like chlorine or burnt matches, take note, a storm is likely imminent. That's ozone, O3. Strong electric fields near the ground before a lightning strike can split oxygen molecules, O2, which then recombine into ozone. The downdraft from the approaching storm carries this scent to your nose. It's the landscape giving you a chemical, scent-based early warning system written directly into the air. In a small grove in Poland, about 400 pine trees all bend at a sharp 90-degree angle at their base, then grow straight up, creating a haunting, uniform J shape. It wasn't aliens or weird magnetism. It was human intervention in the 1930s. Saplings were likely planted, then deliberately bent and held down to grow curved timber for shipbuilding or furniture. The war interrupted the plan, and the trees grew wild, leaving this eerie, sculptural artifact of forgotten human industry. Ancient rock art isn't just pictures of animals. Some, like the Lascaux cave paintings or Aboriginal emu in the sky drawings, are sophisticated astronomical records. Dots and shapes correspond to constellations, and some even appear to record supernova explosions witnessed thousands of years ago. The emu in the sky uses the dark dust clouds of the Milky Way, not the stars, to form the shape. Our ancestors were meticulous sky watchers, using stone as their notebook to track celestial time and events. The humble dung beetle, with a brain the size of a grain of sand, navigates in dead straight lines at night by using the Milky Way. It's the only known insect to use the diffuse band of our galaxy for orientation. Other insects use the moon or polarized light. When researchers put tiny hats on them to block their view of the sky, they got lost. It's proof that you don't need a big brain for sophisticated navigation, just the right instinct and a clear view of the cosmos. Some people wake up feeling panicked seconds before an earthquake hits. You're not psychic, you're sensitive. Earthquakes release energy in waves. First come the fast, low-amplitude P waves, primary, then the slower, destructive S waves, secondary. Your inner ear or subconscious may detect those subtle P wave vibrations before your conscious mind processes the danger. Your body is a natural, biological seismometer, tuned to pick up the planet's earliest whispers of shaking. The ocean has a natural long-distance telephone line called the SOFAR, Sound Fixing and Ranging Channel. At a certain depth, where temperature and pressure create a minimum sound speed, sound waves become trapped and can travel for thousands of miles with little loss. A whale's call, or even a small explosion in this channel, can be heard across an ocean basin. It's nature's own fiber optic cable made of layered water, allowing marine life to communicate over incredible distances. When a volcano erupts in winter, it can create its own bizarre weather. Ash and tiny rock particles blasted into the freezing upper atmosphere act as nucleation points for ice crystals. The result is volcanic snow, snowflakes that form around a gritty ash core, falling as dirty gray snow downwind of the eruption. It's a surreal mixing of fire and ice, a frozen souvenir from a cataclysm, coating the landscape in gritty, warm when it melts snowfall. In some deep, narrow valleys under specific temperature conditions, such as a temperature inversion, sound behaves strangely. A whisper can be heard clearly over a mile away. Cold, dense air near the ground traps sound waves and bends them back downward, while the valley walls channel them. The entire landscape acts like a giant parabolic satellite dish or whispering gallery, focusing and carrying sound with freakish clarity. It's natural acoustics at its most impressive. When the sun erupts with a coronal mass ejection, CME, it doesn't just cause pretty auroras. The barrage of charged particles scrambles Earth's magnetic field. Animals that rely on this field for navigation, like homing pigeons, whales, sea turtles, and even bees, can become disoriented. There are correlations between solar storms and whale beachings, or the loss of migratory birds. Animal behavior becomes a living, sensitive barometer for the invisible storms raging from our sun, 93 million miles away. Rub your eyes in the dark, and you'll see swirling patterns of light and color called phosphenes. This isn't imagination. It's your visual cortex being directly stimulated by pressure on the retina, mechanically, or by random neural firing. It proves that even in total darkness, your visual system is never truly off. It's generating its own internal light show. You're literally hacking your own brain with your fingertips to see stars that aren't there. Worldwide, people have recorded eerie, low-frequency groans or trumpet-like sounds from the sky, often called skyquakes or the hum. While many are hoaxes or misidentified man-made sounds, some are unexplained atmospheric phenomena. Possible causes include very distant thunder ducted by atmospheric layers, vibrations from ocean waves pounding the coasts transmitted into the air, or even large-scale coronal mass ejections interacting with the magnetosphere. It's the planet itself letting out a deep, vocal sigh we don't fully understand. Some natural springs are out of phase with the seasons. They're warmest in winter and coolest in summer. This is due to thermal inertia. The water feeding these springs percolates very slowly through deep rock aquifers. The water emerging today fell as rain or snow many months, sometimes years, ago. It's essentially a delayed echo of past seasonal temperatures. You're not feeling today's weather, you're feeling a hydrological memory from a previous season. Newgrange in Ireland is a 5,200-year-old passage tomb, older than Stonehenge and the pyramids. Its genius is a roof box, a precise opening above the entrance. For about 17 minutes at sunrise on the winter solstice, and a few days around it, a narrow beam of sunlight travels down the 60-foot passage and illuminates the central chamber. This was built with Stone Age technology, a testament to humanity's ancient, precise obsession with marking cosmic time and the sun's rebirth. During intense solar storms, when Earth's magnetic field is violently shaken, a controversial theory suggests some plants might exhibit faint electroluminescence. The idea is that rapid shifts in the local magnetic field could induce tiny electrical currents in plant tissue, potentially exciting molecules enough to emit a minuscule amount of light. It's never been conclusively proven, but it's theoretically possible. Your garden might be having a silent, ultra-faint light show during a geomagnetic storm. In dense coniferous forests, you can sometimes find perfectly circular patches of bare ground surrounded by snow. These snow shadows are created by the trees themselves. The canopy intercepts snow, but more importantly, heat radiating from the tree trunks and the sheltered ground beneath can create a micro-scale vortex of warm air that melts falling snowflakes before they hit the forest floor. It's a tiny, localized weather shield engineered by the ecosystem. Some rivers form breathtakingly symmetrical, looping meanders that look mathematically designed. In soft, flat sediment, a river naturally erodes its outer banks and deposits silt on the inner banks. Over time, tiny initial bends grow into perfect sine wave-like loops through a feedback process known as the kinematic wave theory. It's not design, it's physics and fluid dynamics taking the path of least resistance over centuries, expressing itself in pure, elegant geometry. Powerful supercell thunderstorms can sometimes be seen pulsing with light from miles away, brightening and dimming rhythmically every few minutes. This is caused by gravity waves, ripples in the atmosphere, like ripples in a pond, that propagate through the storm cloud. As the wave passes, it briefly compresses the cloud, potentially enhancing lightning activity or cloud top illumination. The storm isn't just flashing randomly, it's visibly breathing, its heartbeat written in light. On the frigid, dark, abyssal plain, submersibles have found random, isolated spots where the mud is a few degrees warmer than the surrounding seawater. These thermal oases are likely caused by subtle chemical reactions, such as the decay of organic matter, or by weak, diffuse geothermal venting from the crust, creating tiny, warm microhabitats that support unique communities of bacteria and other life in the eternal cold. During times of widespread stress or catastrophe, like pandemics or wars, there are anecdotal spikes in reports of similar, vivid nightmares. While it is likely a combination of coincidence and shared psychological stress, it hints at how our brains are wired. Under extreme pressure, our subconscious minds may tap into common archetypal fears: falling, being chased, losing teeth, and impending doom. It's less about psychic connection and more about shared human psychology tuning into the same primal channel of anxiety. Most glaciers inch along at a snail's pace, but surging glaciers can suddenly speed up to 100 times their normal rate, moving several miles in a few months. This happens when meltwater builds up at the glacier's base, lubricating the interface between ice and rock, dramatically reducing friction. It's like pulling the parking brake on a mountain of ice. After the surge, the glacier usually slows back down, exhausted, having redistributed its mass in a brief, dramatic sprint. The natural world is a symphony in frequencies beyond human hearing. Elephants and whales communicate in deep infrasound, less than 20 hertz. Bats and insects chatter in ultrasound, greater than 20,000 hertz. Our microphones can pick these up, but our ears are deaf to them. When we listen to a quiet forest or ocean with technology, we find it's roaring with conversations, warnings, and songs we've never heard. We're experiencing nature with permanent earplugs on, missing most of the show. When the air is filled with perfectly shaped ice crystals, such as hexagonal plates or columns, sunlight is refracted and reflected into stunning geometric halos, arcs, and spots. Sundogs, 22-degree halos, periarcs, and the rare 46-degree halo are all possible. The sky transforms into a giant, intricate crystal chandelier, projecting the hidden geometric structure of ice itself onto the dome of the world. It's atmospheric optics at its most mathematically beautiful. The fairy circles of Namibia are millions of bare, circular patches in the desert grass, often surrounded by a ring of taller grass. The leading theories are either that they're caused by termites engineering their environment to retain water, or that they're a self-organizing pattern emerging from competition for scarce water among the grasses themselves. They're a stunning example of how life, even in harsh conditions, can create large-scale, orderly patterns that look intelligently designed. Some trees, such as the Cook pine and certain conifers, have a distinct spiral grain in their trunks. This isn't random. It's often an adaptation to constant strong wind. The spiral grain makes the wood more flexible and resistant to splitting or snapping in the wind, like the twisted fibers in a rope. The tree incorporates its environmental challenge into its very structure, turning a struggle into a beautiful, helical masterpiece of natural engineering. In high mountain passes, the wind can produce sounds eerily similar to human voices, whispers, or distant singing. This is aeolian sound, created when wind blows across cracks, holes, or overhangs in the rock, much like blowing across the mouth of a bottle. For centuries, these sounds fueled legends of mountain spirits or ghosts. It's not the supernatural, it's the landscape itself, played by the wind like a colossal, rocky flute. Deep at the bottom of large lakes like Lake Michigan or in certain ocean basins, sonar reveals massive, perfectly preserved sand dunes. These subaqueous dunes are formed by slow, persistent bottom currents moving sediment, just like wind in a desert. Because the water is deep and calm, the dunes remain frozen in time, unchanging for centuries. It's a hidden, silent desert landscape, drowned and preserved in the dark. In the open ocean, ships and swimmers can literally hit a wall where the water temperature drops several degrees in just a few feet. These are ocean fronts, boundaries between different water masses. For example, cold coastal current meeting warm Gulf Stream. They're often marked by changes in color and marine life. For fish, these fronts are like highways or borders, rich in nutrients. For us, they're a stark physical reminder that the ocean is a patchwork of different invisible environments. We might have a vestigial sixth sense for magnetism. A Caltech study in 2019 found that human brainwaves change subtly in response to Earth-strength magnetic field rotations. We also have trace amounts of magnetite, a magnetic mineral, in our brains, just like migratory birds and turtles. While we're not consciously aware of it, our subconscious neural hardware might still be faintly processing magnetic cues, a leftover from our evolutionary past. You can't feel north, but part of your brain might still know. During intense solar storms, when electromagnetic energy floods our atmosphere, there are anecdotal reports of objects on the ground, like metal roofs, wires, or even clouds, emitting a faint, low hum. This could be caused by extremely low-frequency (ELF) electromagnetic waves from the storm, which can vibrate objects. While not a common auditory phenomenon, it suggests that a powerful enough space weather event could provide both the light show, auroras, and a creepy, ambient soundtrack. Stand at the entrance of certain caves and you might feel a steady stream of cool or warm air flowing in or out. Caves breathe to equalize atmospheric pressure with the outside. When outside air pressure is higher, air flows in. When a storm approaches, often associated with low pressure, the higher pressure air inside the cave flows out. It's the lung of the mountain, taking slow, deep breaths in response to the weather, a tangible link between geology and meteorology. Astronomers have found stars, like Boyajian star, Tabby's star, and others, that dim in bizarre, irregular ways not explained by planets. Some, called dippers, fade by huge amounts at random intervals. The leading theory is that of swarms of disintegrating comets or dusty debris clouds from planetary collisions or formations. Each mysterious dip in starlight could be the shadow of a world being born in chaos or violently destroyed. One of geology's great mysteries, strange lights like glowing orbs, sheet lightning, or floating flames, reported in the sky seconds to hours before major earthquakes. Science suspects piezoelectricity. When certain rocks, such as quartz, are subjected to extreme tectonic stress, they can generate powerful electrical voltages that ionize the air, causing it to glow. It's the ground itself turning into a giant natural battery, discharging into the atmosphere as a fleeting, plasma-based warning that the Earth is about to shake. From the depths of the oceans to the neurons in your brain, the universe is absolutely teeming with mysteries. Science isn't about having all the answers. It's about loving the questions enough to keep looking. If this journey into the unknown sparked your curiosity, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments, which fact blew your mind the most? Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Because of the search for wonder, it never ends. Stay curious, friends.